You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Welcome back, everybody. Ending our interview with Governor Abbott just before the break, he left us with some ambitious plans for the future of Texas Tech University. And here to talk about those and more is our Lubbock State Representative, Dustin Burrows. Representative, thank you so much for being here.
Ryan, thank you for having me.
There's been a lot of talk recently about taking Texas Tech to the next level, just not on the football field, but in the classroom, in our research as well. Bringing it to AAU status, putting more money from the state in order to make sure that Texas Tech is that Tier 1 university. And Abbott left us with some interesting news about his plans to increase that endowment by almost twice. And I want to hear from you, what is the chatter that we're hearing from the state legislature about the ways that we can ensure Texas Tech is at that next level?
Sure. You know, if you look at it, AAU is the next natural thing we should want to achieve for Texas. The state of Texas has 2 public universities that are members of this prestigious AAU. By comparison, California has 10, New York has 7 or 8, and Iowa, with 1/7 of our population, has 2 public universities as well. So it is embarrassing that we are not putting the resources necessary to do that. I am so proud to have been working with the governor of the state of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, to try to get us to achieve that. We've made some progress this last cycle. You'll notice during the regular session, we put $15 million towards an academic sciences building, another $300 million to tuition and revenue bonds, and $50 million to institutional enhancement. But that's not enough. And so over the summer, we talked about what could we do to make a splash and try to get Texas Tech to be one of those 62 universities that are members of AAU. And the idea is to put almost $1 billion into a new endowment set up for it.
And for somebody who may not be familiar, what exactly does it mean to be AAU status? And what would it mean for Texas Tech to achieve that?
So it is the Association of American Universities. There's 64 of them total, 62 here in the United States. It is a marker of the most prestigious research universities out there. Usually is measured by 7 or 8 different criteria, predominantly those who are doing the most important research across the entire country and entire world. And so to do that, we would need to see a big increase in what we're doing and driving our research dollars from the state of Texas into Tech to get some of the best researchers and best programs out there.
You mentioned some money put towards Texas Tech in the last special session, and now Abbott is saying he wants to create a $1 billion endowment, about doubling the current endowment that Tex has to achieve this AAU status. Do you think that's a realistic possibility looking forward to the next session? Can we get this done?
Absolutely. So in the House, I filed a bill to create the Texas University Fund. The Appropriations Chair in the House is very supportive of it. I think there's a lot of people talking about the fact that we need to have at least 1, if not 2 more universities part of this prestigious AAU thing. And so I think we're going to see movement during the interim to study it, to look at it, and try to fund it this next cycle.
So when you say try to fund it, where would that funding come from? There's been a lot of chatter about amending the permanent university fund. Would that be an option, or would we look at other avenues to secure that funding?
Well, that would be poetic justice in my mind. You know, if we were going to take it from anywhere, I'd love for it to come from the permanent university fund. But I'll tell you, my focus is on what Texas Tech needs, not what other universities may have. And so wherever it comes from, that's what's most important. But obviously, if we could get it from the permanent university fund and the University of Texas, I would love that, especially after the debacle over them leaving the Big 12 this summer.
You would love that Robin Hood scenario where we take from Texas and then give it back to Texas Tech. But I think we've already seen poetic justice after we've seen how they're doing this season compared to Tech, right?
I appreciated that Kansas game immensely.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, now we see Tech going to a bowl game. Texas, my proud alma mater, not so lucky. But with this public university fund, you know, that conversation really ramped up after we saw Texas leave the Big 12, but it never really went anywhere this session. I asked Abbott just before break whether he thinks that's going to be a major issue in the next session, and he thinks that it is. What are you going to do to make sure that conversation continues, and do you think we can actually make headway next time around?
Yeah, so we had a very short period of time to actually get a newer concept kind of socialized throughout the entire legislative process. So during the interim, it's going to require studies, trying to draw attention to it, talking about it, tweeting about it, which is how now some information is shared, getting on programs such as these and discussing it, and hopefully getting more legislators across the entire state and building a coalition of people who actually want to see Texas University universities, higher education take that next step. And so I'm excited about it. I think we have a real opportunity, and obviously you're going to see me 110% all in to get it done.
Yeah, well, that's very exciting news, and we'll be following that as we get into the next regular session in 2023. I do want to ask you on another topic before we end here. There has been a little bit of talk about going back before 2023 for potentially a fourth special session to deal with COVID vaccine mandates. But now we have new federal rulings from the judicial system saying that may not happen, blocking the Biden administration's ruling there. Do you think it's still realistic that we may deal with this in the legislature before the next session?
I think the fight's in the court system, and the reason being is the rule of thumb is federal law preempts state law. So we could go have a special session and pass 1,000 laws, but they're all going to be preempted by federal law. So the courts are going to have to work this out. You know, I have joined and filed an amicus brief, actually been the lawyer and one of the people on that to try to stop that. We've had success with that. So trying to stop the Biden mandates are very important. I think that it's federal overreach. I think it's unconstitutional to begin with, and so far the courts have agreed with me. So I think that's where the fight is, and been very proud of the successes the state of Texas has had over the last couple of weeks and days.
And do you think that that court ruling is now going to stay? Or if it doesn't, if this gets reversed somehow and the Biden administration's mandates can go back into effect, do you think that's something the legislature will consider to amend?
Well, again, I don't know how we would actually do that, because the rule is federal law preempts state law. So we could pass 1,000 laws trying to tell them no, but they wouldn't do any good unless the courts actually stop it, which they have done. And I feel very confident right now where the courts have been and where they're headed to on these issues.
Okay. Well, after 3 special sessions, that's probably good news in your mind. You get a little bit more of a break before we go back the next time around.
If called, happy to serve.
All right, good to know. Well, Dustin Burrows, that's all we have time for, unfortunately, but very exciting news. I appreciate you joining us and sharing it.
Brian, thank you very much.
We'll be right back, everybody.